Today we're going to discuss the 4 core reasons for why men always seem to come back months after a breakup. Now it's funny, I always, when preparing for these videos, like to see what other people say. And oftentimes, when you're looking at the reasons for why men are always seeming to come back months after a breakup or years after a breakup, you'll see the 15 reasons for why they do this or the 16 reasons for why they do it. And after actually reading some of those lists, I just found basically they're using these same reasons, but just looking at them in slightly different ways. I didn't want to do that here, so I'm trying to simplify things and make it simple. So that's why there's only 4 core reasons for why we're finding men coming back months after a breakup. So let's just jump right into it. Reason number 1, the avoidant nostalgic reverie. So we're usually drawing from our clients' experience to understand how men work during breakups. And we find that most of our clients tend to have anxious type of attachment styles. That means most of our clients are going to be the types of people who want to fix a relationship right away because their entire world, maybe not their entire world, but a huge portion of their world revolves around the relationship. So if something is not correct or something is not right in that relationship, they're going to try to do things to fix that relationship. Now what's interesting is people with anxious attachment styles often attract people with avoidant attachment styles. And it's really important to understand that there is a huge difference between the two. Where the anxious person is all about making sure there's harmony in the relationship, making sure any of their anxious attachment style tendencies are being taken care of. The avoidant person, on the other hand, is all about their own independence, meaning anyone who threatens their independence will usually cause them to not necessarily leave, but back away. Now, what's interesting is usually what we find is there's almost like this volcano building up throughout your time in a relationship with an avoidant. You having anxious tendencies tend to grate on the avoidant's nerves. Eventually, the avoidant initiates the breakup and feels great about it. But that doesn't mean that they won't grieve or at least miss you at one point. It just usually happens a lot later than you're expecting it to. We know that someone who has avoidant tendencies will not really begin to miss you or think about the relationship in a positive way until they literally think there's no chance that you can get back together. Usually this happens in a few ways. Either you have moved on to someone else or you have put signals out into the universe saying, I don't want you back anymore. At this point, the avoidant allows themselves time to grieve. They start thinking back to the relationship that they had with you. And they start thinking about all the really great moments together. And this creates this nostalgia. And this nostalgia can sometimes make them want to revisit that relationship because it's so strong. But you have a separate problem. Now you're dealing with sort of the reality versus expectations issue with the avoidant, which is another topic for another video. But if you're finding that an ex is coming back months later, it could be because their nostalgic reverie, because of their avoidant tendencies, is beginning to kick in. Real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. All right, so let's get you back to the video. Reason number 2, the grass wasn't so green on the other side. A huge component for someone breaking up with you is the fact that they always tend to think they can do better than you. So they break up with you and it's sort of this weird admission that they think they can find someone else to better fit their needs. In other words, they get a huge thing of the grass is greener syndrome. They think, you know what, this sucks, I'm gonna find someone else who's better than you, until they go out and start searching for someone who is better than you. One of two things usually happens. Either one, they find someone better than you. I guess it's kind of one of three things if you think about it. They either find someone better than you and they sit there and say, well, the grass was greener on the other side. I was right. Or they date around and can't find someone better than you and they feel kind of like they made a mistake. Or they actually try to find someone better than you but can't get a date at all. And so what ends up happening is usually when you're finding a man come back months after a breakup, especially if he's been on the rebound or dated around a lot, you're a lot more likely to experience this type of a situation where they start thinking, you know what, I had it pretty good with my relationship with her. These other people kind of aren't doing it for me. Core reason number 3, the ungettable factor. No, I don't talk about this a lot on YouTube because I like to make YouTube mostly about me giving free content away. But one of the core concepts that we talk about in our program is that of the ungettable girl or the ungettable mindset. It's in fact become such a very popular topic within our sort of program ecosystem that we even wrote a book on it called, wait for it, Ungettable, Becoming the Woman Every Man Wants. Now, what is someone who's ungettable? Well, simply put, someone who is ungettable is someone who is consistently trying to reach their maximum potential in all areas of life, including their relationships aspects. So oftentimes I try to divide people's lives up into 3 distinct categories: health, wealth, and relationships. A lot of times what ends up happening with people who go through a breakup is they hyper-focus on the relationships aspect, specifically the romantic relationships aspect with their ex. The world isn't right until they can fix it, and what they do is they end up neglecting their health, they end up neglecting their wealth, and they end up neglecting all of the other relationships that give their life meaning. So all we're trying to do during a breakup is first help people sort of balance those areas out, because usually there's this interesting synergy between all 3, and I don't want to get into it, but it can actually help make you more attractive towards your ex. But ultimately what we're also trying to do is we're also trying to help you realize this is your North Star. Trying to get an ex back from a position of weakness will never work, but trying to get an ex back from a position of strength by becoming ungettable, by becoming the girl that almost every man is chasing but no man can get, at least that's the ideal we're trying to get you to aspire towards, that can end up making your ex more attracted to you. So what happens is after working with our program for a couple of months, we start to see these very subtle gains in all these other areas of our life. Women start to feel ungettable. They start to have other men hit on them, and they start to be able to get this mindset of, you know what, I'm gonna choose. They're not gonna choose, I'm gonna choose. I have options, I have the freedom, it's my choice. Now, getting people to that state of mind is such a powerful moment for them, and weirdly enough, it's like this weird energy gets brought out into the universe, and believe me, I am not one that takes a lot on faith. But I've seen it happen enough to know that this does occur. Somehow your ex catches wind of it and you become more attractive to them. So if you've been making serious strides in health, wealth, relationships, magnum opus based things, and your ex is all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork and being interested in you and talking to you again, it could be because you are starting to touch that ungettable factor. Reason number 4, the sphere of influence factor. So this is the 4th core reason for why we think exes seem to come back always months later. And we think it's because of the sphere of influence. I've talked a lot about this on the YouTube channel. I've talked a lot about this in the program, but I don't think I do it enough justice because it is such an essential factor towards your success. So what is the sphere of influence? Well, imagine that the people that you surround yourself with, whose opinions you care about, make an impact on your life. Well, that is essentially the sphere of influence. Everyone has their own sphere of influence. Some people have a great sphere of influence. They surround themselves with friends, family, worker colleagues, bosses, whose opinions that really matter to them. And then there's people who don't really have a huge sphere of influence. They maybe have a handful of people whose opinions really will dictate their decisions in life. Now, it's always your ex's choice on whether or not to take you back, but you can imagine how much easier a choice it can be if every single moment after the breakup, the people who your ex has surrounded himself with are saying, why did you break up with her? Oh, dude, that was a huge mistake. Look, she's doing this, she's doing that, she's doing that without you. You need to get back on that. All of a sudden, they're thinking, oh my gosh, I did make a mistake. They are right, they are right, they are right. And it makes you kind of a higher value target to them. Now, the flip side is also true. If your ex's sphere of influence, their friends, their family did not like you, it can actually work against you. Now, it's not the predominant factor. There's things that you can do to overcome it, but we do notice that getting on your ex's sphere of influence is good side, really can make a difference in your overall chances of success. Hey there, thanks so much for getting to the end of this video. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz, our free, simple 2-minute quiz designed to basically tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. Now, if you're interested in taking this quiz, it's really simple. All you gotta do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click the link you see there. Also, if you haven't liked, commented, and subscribed, if you could please do so, it really makes a huge difference to us so we can keep this train rolling. I'll see you next time.